Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking all about summertime makeup. I have pulled out some of my summertime makeup must-haves. A lot of these have been long-standing favorites of mine, kind of go-tos over the last several years. There are a handful of them that are a little bit newer, but all of these are must-haves for me during the summertime. I can't wait to share them with you. Before we do that, if you are a new visitor here, welcome to you. Please consider subscribing to my channel and make sure that your notifications are turned on. And with that said, I have got a lot of products to talk about today, so let's jump right into it. Okay, shall we start with sunscreens? I feel like that is the basic. Everyone needs a good sunscreen in the summertime. I've talked about this before. This is the Supergoop Glow Screen. I have just the trial size. I was this close to buying a full size of this, and then as I put it in my cart and saw how expensive this was and reminded myself that this is just a sunscreen. It does have a little bit of a tint to it, but it really doesn't give you any coverage whatsoever. I decided not to go for the full version of this. A lot of people swear by this. It is SPF 40. It works great. If you are someone that does not need to cover very much and you really don't need any coverage in the summertime, I would recommend something like this. It looks beautiful on the skin. But as someone that needs coverage, I really just need my sunscreen to simply give me some SPF. And I am all for the drugstore giving that to me. So this is my go-to sunscreen, not just in the summertime, all of the time, but this is my facial sunscreen. I basically use this on my face. I put it on every day, summer, spring, or fall. It goes on my face after all of my skincare is on, and then I let it soak into my skin. I want to give this a good 10 to 20 minutes at least to really soak in, and then I have never had any issues with this giving me trouble with the makeup that I put on top of it. This is a zinc only sunscreen. It's 100% zinc oxide. It's from Coppertone. It's their sport mineral. I bought other ones from Coppertone before, but they're my favorite ones. I've tried the Neutrogena ones. I've tried some other brands. This is the one that I think is the least greasy on my skin. Once it sinks into my skin, I don't find that it feels very heavy on me. It does initially give you that kind of white cast as most zinc sunscreens do, so you do need to give it a little bit of time, but once it's really set in and soaked in, I have no trouble with it whatsoever, and it does a great job underneath my makeup. And it's affordable. I mean, this is a 5-ounce bottle, and I'm pretty sure it was under 10 bucks, so you cannot beat that. But I feel like everybody needs a good spray sunscreen. I know there are some, I've seen some advertisements for Kopari spray sunscreens. In fact, I know Milani makes a setting spray that is a spray sunscreen. I actually haven't tried that one. It's always out of stock at my drugstore. I honestly just use the cheap stuff. This is Equate brand. It's a tropical one. Get the tropical one. It smells much better. I've tried several of these. Honestly, they're all the same. They all work exactly the same. A spray sunscreen is a spray sunscreen. I have heard that if you breathe them in and use them a lot, they can cause cancer. So be aware of that. Hold your breath. But I honestly use this all the time in the summertime if I'm needing to go pick up my kids from the pool, watch a baseball game, set up the slip and slide outside, and this needs to go on top of my makeup. I basically will just hold my breath, give it a good spray, continue holding my breath for a few seconds, as long as I can, which is really not that long. And it does a great job. It's easy to apply. I try not to use this all the time, but in the summertime, I probably do use this about every other day. Okay, let's move on to some primers. So I have 2 recommendations for the summertime. As far as longevity, I am going to give a recommendation to the Clean You Primer from Wet n Wild. Now this is a newer-ish primer. I haven't actually tried this out in the summertime before, so it is possible that as this is really put to the test in the heat, it could give me some issues, but honestly, I've been in some pretty warm weather with baseball weather in like the late spring with this, and I've had no trouble with it at all. It reminds me so much of the Hydro Grip primer from Milk Makeup. It does a great job just locking your makeup in all day. You only need a tiny bit of this, and I would really only put this where you have issues with your makeup kind of breaking down, especially like around the nose or between your brows or on your forehead. Very nice, grippy primer. I also love something glowy in the summertime. This is probably one of my favorites, the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Liquid Highlighter. I've talked about this a few times in recent videos. It's basically a dupe for the Say Glowy Super Gel. I think it works just as well. The reason I like this, as opposed to something like the Charlotte Tilbury or the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter, it's a little bit more lightweight. It's more of a gel than a cream, so it doesn't feel quite so heavy on the skin. It sets down really nicely and it doesn't move. Really nice glowy primer to kind of peek out from underneath a medium coverage foundation. Speaking of foundations, I have 3 recommendations. Sorry, did I just hold up 4 fingers and say 3? Oh, Mandy. 3 recommendations for you guys. First off, my Mise en Snell Repair BB Cream. I've talked about this a few times recently. This has become my very favorite BB or CC cream. I love the color, which is number 27, works perfectly for me. It has SPF 50, great coverage. This has maybe higher coverage even than the next 2 foundations that I'll talk about. Maybe not the most long wearing. It's not bad, but it's not quite as like budge proof and long lasting as my next recommendations. But if you like a good, just high medium coverage, it's gonna give you SPF at the same time, kind of just throw on your skin, put on some bronzer and some mascara and run out the door. This is so good for situations like that. If I'm looking for something to really go the distance, maybe I'm spending the day at the pool or the amusement park. I don't actually wear foundation to the pool, but in an amusement park, if I want my foundation to stay on through some water and some sweat, this is my number one recommendation. The Infallible Fresh Wear from L'Oreal. I use shade 425. This is probably a little bit light for me in the middle of the summer. I'll probably add a little bit of something darker to this to get the shade match right, or maybe I'll buy another bottle of this actually. But as far as longevity, this is the most long wearing foundation that I have tried thus far. But I also want to recommend, and kind of as my upcoming summertime test, is the 30 Hour from Maybelline. This is a newer foundation, so I haven't actually tried it during a very hot, long summer day because it didn't exist last summer. So I am going to give it a try, but I do think this is a very good long wearing foundation. It is the one that I'm wearing on my skin today. It's very lightweight. It's very buildable. It's kind of similar to this one in that way, but I actually think I like the finish of this one just a tiny bit more. It's not quite as drying, which I probably should have mentioned. This foundation, if you do have dry skin, you want to make sure that you're well moisturized underneath, because I do think this one can be a touch drying on those of us with more dry skin. This one I think is a little bit more forgiving, but it seems to be really nice and long wearing and budge proof, so I'm excited to try this one out this summertime and see if it compares to my L'Oreal. I have just one concealer recommendation. Honestly, I'm not that particular about my summertime concealers versus like other times of the year. But the reason I recommend this one, which is the Forever Skin from Dior, is because of its extreme high coverage. Now, there's a downside with that. I just talked about this in my most recent video, and I feel like I say this every time I mention this concealer, because I know some of you have said that it's too heavy for you. I use this in the most sparing way possible. You do not need a lot of this concealer. You can use the tiniest amount of it and it will give you great coverage. I only use this where I need coverage. This is not one of those concealers I'd be swiping around my face. I just dot it right where I need it, tap it in with my finger or with a sponge, and I am good to go. It will give me such great coverage, especially on those very stubborn hyperpigmentation marks. If you deal with those, you know what I'm talking about. Not all concealers cover those up. This one does a great job with those. Let's talk about a few bronzer recommendations. So in the summertime, if I have the time and I need my bronzer to last, I like to kind of double up on a cream and powder. So basically use a little bit of a cream and then kind of top it with a powder. I feel like that gives you the most long wearing bronzer possible. Now there are a couple of options to do that. You can go with the Patrick Ta duos. They give you a cream and a powder in one. Now they're very expensive, but I do love them. I have one. I actually didn't pull that one out, but we'll talk about the blush in a sec. But honestly, you can just use any cream and any powder that you have. So for my creams, a couple that I recommend. First off, the Physicians Formula Diamond Bronzer. Mine looks disgusting. I actually have a backup of this in my drawer right now that I'm hoping that I can pull out pretty soon, but I want to use this thing completely up. I love this bronzer. It's a very light colored bronzer, which is one of the reasons I love this one, because it's not too dark or too pigmented. It pairs beautifully with a powder bronzer on top. So I'll tap a little bit of this on, set it with a little bit of a powder bronzer, and my bronzer is not going to move all day long. Another one that I love though is the Persona. This is Mojave, such a great shade of bronzer. Let me just swatch these two side by side. If you have lighter, more fair skin, this is one of the best cream bronzer shades that I've ever tried. Let me just swatch the Physicians Formula right next to it. I think the Physicians Formula one is just a little bit lighter. Yeah, you can see. It's a little bit lighter. It seems a little bit warmer. I actually don't think on the skin it looks all that much warmer. They're both great. And to be frank, I don't even know that the Physicians Formula one is going to be that much cheaper than the Persona, because Physicians Formula products are a little pricey. But for powder bronzers, two that I love for summertime, both from the drugstore, are first off the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in Sunset Strip Tease. This one has a bit of a sheen to it. So if it's a sunny day and you don't want anything too, I don't know if I'd necessarily call it glittery. I mean, you really have to be looking very, very close to see the tiny, tiny glitter particles in here, but it definitely has a bit of glow or sheen to it. So if you don't like that, I would also recommend the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sun Kissed. This is so good. I've had this for years. Definitely a matte finish. This is the one that I'm wearing today on top of Mojave, and it's just perfect. It's fantastic. As for blushes, we have a few different options. Probably my number one recommendation, if I could give you just one, would be the Milk Makeup Cooling Water Jelly Tints. I love these. I've loved them for years. I feel like you either love these or hate these. Honestly, I think it's really More than anything, there's a bit of a learning curve in applying these and kind of like getting it just right. You have to have the right tool, which is basically just a good brush. You can use the one that Milk Makeup sells. This is a great one. I often use my Alter Ego one, but honestly, one from the drugstore that I think works really great is the e.l.f. Buffing Foundation Brush. This is the one that I use to apply this color, which is the color Chill, a really nice kind of warm corally pink, perfect for really, I think, a lot of different skin tones this one would work for. They have a ton of different shades. My personal two favorite shades are Chill and Splash. Chill has a little bit more of like a warm kind of like corally orange undertone to it, whereas Splash is more of a true berry. But I love them both. In the summertime, these things last forever. I mean, they do not budge. They're basically like tattoos on your skin. They will not come off, even in the hottest weather. So these would be my top recommendation. But if you're not into those, because I know not everyone loves those, I would recommend doing the cream powder combo, like we were talking about with the bronzer. You could do that with one of the Patrick Ta blushes. I still only have one of these. I have been meaning to pick up another shade of one of these blushes for years, but every time I go to add them to my cart, they're so expensive, and there's always just so many other things that I want to try that they end up getting taken out. But I do love these. I think they're great when you're wanting to combine a cream and a powder. You can go cream first, powder on top, and you can actually go powder first, cream on top. I think that's the way that Patrick recommends doing it. I've done it both ways. I actually don't see that big of a difference either way. I feel like ultimately they just kind of mesh together. This one I have right here, it actually looks like a bronzer. It's not, but it's more of a fall tone blush for me. This is She's So LA. I like more of a berry tone or kind of coral shade on my cheeks in the summertime. But formula-wise, I think these are great for summer. A couple other summertime favorites of mine. This is Petal Poppin' from Fenty. I love this corally pink color in the summertime. It's so beautiful. Actually kind of gives me the same vibes as Chill from, right? Is it Chill? Yeah, Chill from Milk Makeup, but in a cream formula. So if you like a cream formula, these are great. And I do think they last pretty long. And then this one from NYX, which I can't stop talking about. This is For the Butter. I actually would not use this one combined with a cream because this, pigment-wise, you're not gonna wanna put this on top of something that also has color, because this is a very, very bold, strong color, especially for those of you that have more kind of light, medium, or fair skin. But I love these blushes so much. As soon as they get the shades back in stock at my drugstore, you had better believe I'm gonna pick up a couple more of these because I think they are great. Okay, let's move on to highlighter. I have just two highlighters. So this morning as I was getting ready to film this video, I actually got out 7 of my favorite summertime highlighters, and the sun was peeking through my window and I had the sun literally shining on my hand. I swatched all 7 of those highlighters and I found the ones that have the least amount of glitter in them. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm out in the sun, I get a little bit self-conscious if my makeup has too much sparkle in it. Like, I don't want to look like Edward Cullen. But I found 2 recommendations for you guys. So for those of you that are more kind of like light medium or light or even medium to deep skin tones, this is Amnesia from Nabla. I love this highlighter. It's a beautiful golden shade. This color, because it's just a little bit more of a deeper gold. It's not a deep gold, but it's not a super champagne-y gold. It's a little bit on the darker side. It only works on my skin when I'm at my tannest. So in the wintertime, I can't quite get away with wearing this one, but as soon as I have a touch of tan, it is beautiful. It is the one that I'm wearing on my cheeks today, and I absolutely love it. This one does, if you look closely, have a tiny bit of sparkle in it, but not as much as some of the other ones that I swatched, like my Revlon, I swatched the Anastasia one, I swatched even my Laura Mercier. I was actually surprised, had a little bit of glitter in it. But the one that had the least glitter of all the ones I tried is a drugstore favorite that many of us probably own. It's the Essence Pure Nude. This is a great highlighter for summertime because it truly does not have those tiny glitter particles in it. It looks much more just like a solid, subtle sheen. So if you're spending time outside and you don't want to look like a disco ball, this is the one that I would most recommend. But this one's pretty sheer, so I feel like a lot of skin tones could use it. I have heard some people say they thought this turned them was a little bit too pink for them. I don't know, I don't get that for me. It works great for my skin tone, and I love the shimmer quality of this because it's so refined. It just looks very natural. Okay, let's talk about eyeshadows. So my favorite look in the summertime is a perfect warm bronze eye. Now there are a lot of palettes out there that can give you that, but I found 2 that are absolute perfection. The first one, I'm actually wearing them both on my eyes today because one is a dupe for the other one. First one is the Natasha Denona Mini Nude Palette. I love the warm tones in this one. They are perfectly warm. Like, they're warm in the way that like coffee would be warm, or like chocolate. They kind of remind me of like J-Lo in like 2015
It kind of is like the vibe that I get from this eyeshadow palette. I am wearing this one on my right side today, but if 25, or I think they're 27 now, dollars is out of your budget, you just don't want to spend that much, well, I have a drugstore perfect dupe for it, and it is the ColourPop Nude Mood palette. This one you do get some more shades in. I think these are $14 if you buy them full price, but they often go on sale on both Ulta's website and the ColourPop website, so keep an eye on those. This one is also great. I do think this shimmer, so the one on the inner part of my lid, is a little bit more, it's not quite as refined and smoothing. It's a little bit more metallic and strong, so it does emphasize texture just a little bit more if you have a lot of lines on your eyes or if you're sensitive to that. But other than that, the shades themselves, I mean, I can't really tell a difference in either of these eyes. They both give the perfect summertime bronzy eye that I absolutely love. Honestly, this eye look, I can't stop looking at it. It's just so pretty. Let's talk about mascaras. This probably isn't much of a surprise to you guys because I'm always talking about my chronic watery eyes, which probably gets annoying, but summertime, we need a mascara that is not going to melt off of our eyes, and these are my top 2 recommendations. Easily number 1 is the e.l.f. Lash Extender. I'm obsessed with this mascara. It is so good, it's so affordable, it's so easy to remove, and it does not budge in the heat, if I'm sweating, if it's raining, if I'm crying. I'm not crying, but when my eyes are watering and I'm watching baseball, it looks like I'm crying. It is so budge proof. Also, the Panorama mascara from L'Oreal. This one I also think is very, very budge proof. The only difference is when it's very hot outside, I have noticed that this mascara, while it doesn't transfer or move around on me or come off, I start to feel like it gets a little bit gummy. It almost feels like it's starting to melt a little bit, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it may bug some people, I imagine. I noticed that last summer when I was wearing this on some very hot days, like, wow, is my mascara melting? It didn't look like it was doing anything, but I could feel it. So maybe be aware of that and go for the e.l.f. one if you feel like something like that would bother you. All right, we are just about there. Let's talk about eyebrows. So probably my number 1 recommendation for summertime is from Physicians Formula. This is the Butter Brazilian Brow Lift Brow Gel. This is basically a clear brow gel. Now, I don't always love this brow gel because it's very wet. It is very, very stiff. So this is the type of brow gel that if you touch your eyebrows, you're gonna feel it. Or if a balloon lands on your face, it might pop the balloon. I mean, this is one of those brow gels that is just like, woo, your brows are not going anywhere. Sometimes that feeling kind of bothers me, but here's my tip. I actually recommend brushing this through your brows and then taking a clean spoolie and kind of brushing out the excess and just keep brushing it as it dries. And you won't have quite as much product on your brows, so they'll have a little bit more softness to them. But I'm telling you guys, this brow gel is super glue. It's like super glue to your brows. They will not move. In fact, I've had this brow hair that I meant to like move back down and I forgot, and it's still there. That was like 3 hours ago. Huh, good job. And then I just recommend this to kind of as like a prep step for summertime. So when I'm using a clear brow gel, I'll swipe this e.l.f. Shape and Stay. It's basically a wax stick into my brows and then brush them upright, and then I'll fill them in either with a pen or a powder or a slim pencil, and then I'll go in with the clear brow gel on top to lock them in. But I love this. It's such a good quick step for kind of prepping my brows for being filled in. So definitely a go-to for summertime. I did want to mention my Wet n Wild Simmer Brown Now pencil. Now, this is not a long wearing eye pencil, but here is something that I have discovered. As I often talk about my very chronically watery eyes when I am outdoors, one thing that I cannot stand is any eyeliner that has like a long wearingness to it. So something like the Persona eyeliners, which are great. I have a couple from Yes Style that are long wearing, very thick kind of gel-like formulas. Now, I would love these formulas, but I find that especially in situations where I'm gonna be prone to my eyes watering, if I'm outdoors, if it's sunny, if it's windy, they're gonna kind of aggravate my watery eyes. And I just find the Wet n Wild is one of the only eyeliners that does not do that for me. It's such a mild eyeliner formula and it wears off so gracefully. If I do start getting watery eyes, it's just so mild and it's not overly pigmented or intense to where it's gonna start like moving all over the place as long as you don't go crazy with applying it. It's a very user-friendly eyeliner for me. Even if I end up kind of smudging it off, it doesn't end up looking bad. It just kind of like wears off gracefully. And I would much rather be in a situation like that versus having something that's gonna make my eyes water so much that no 24-hour waterproof eyeliner pencil is gonna hold up to super watery eyes. So I'd rather have something that doesn't aggravate my watery eyes in the first place, which this is the thing. And last up, we have a couple of setting sprays. So probably my number 1 recommendation, if you're really wanting something budge proof, you don't mind spending a penny on it,
is the Charlotte Tilbury. I also love the Urban Decay one. I actually think these ones perform quite similarly for me, but I think the sprayer on the Charlotte Tilbury one is a little bit better. I would recommend getting the larger size. I think the smaller size is kind of pricey for how little you get. This only has 1 ounce and I think it's like $24. So that's kind of a ripoff. Honestly, I've been meaning to buy the larger size because I think it's a better deal. But one that I've been testing out more recently, this is not like a for sure favorite because I haven't actually had a lot of time with this one. It's the Pretty Smart Setting Spray. It's quickly becoming a favorite of mine. I think it does a great job of really holding my makeup in place. Not all setting sprays do that. I think some have are a little bit more powerful and like locking in. I'm assuming because they probably have more alcohol in them or something, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. This one just seems to be a little more super duty than something along the lines of like the Mario Badescu or the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, which I love, but those are kind of more for the refreshing than the holding things in place. And that is it, you guys. Those are my go-tos for the summertime. I don't really have any lip recommendations, honestly. The summertime comes and I am just like, I'm throwing on whatever is in my purse or whatever is in my car, which currently is the ColourPop So Juicy and the, what's the lip balm called? I forgot. I can't remember. The one that's like the Summer Friday that I've told you guys about. The dupe for the Summer Friday is up in my bag right now. And those will probably stay in my bag for the rest of the summer. So those would probably be my recommendations for summertime. Anything with a little bit of color, a little bit of hydration is gonna work just fine for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I would love to know what your go-to makeup products are for the summertime. Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you are excited for summer. But that is going to do it for today. Thank you guys for joining me and I hopefully will see you in my next video. Bye.